Okay, it's been quite a while since I made an update. I just kind of been getting away from doing it, and I just thought it was time to show you guys some of the new stuff I've grabbed. So let's just jump right into it. I'm not gonna do it as I've done on the previous pickup videos. I'm just gonna kind of go through my collection. Worst case Ontario, you get to see what I've gotten, what I got in here. But yeah, I might miss some new stuff, but that's alright, who cares. Um, yeah, nothing here. I'm pretty sure the newest thing I got on this level is Monty Python's Life of Brian. Pretty cool movie. All about religion and stuff with a Monty Python twist. Is pretty funny. And a fun fact, George Harrison makes an appearance of the Beatles in this movie. Coming down real quick to the movie section, I picked up season 9 of Trailer Park Boys. Really hilarious. I love the way that it's continuing on, and it's still really funny. I would highly recommend it if you're into comedies. This is a really great Canadian show. I've got them all. Check it out. Moving right on. I don't think there's anything new on this shelf. Hello, Baby Groot. I am Groot. Rocket Raccoon and Star-Lord. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's nothing new up there. Let me just continue on. Okay, I believe there's a few things new on this shelf. I'm not sure, but I think maybe this is new. Collateral Damage and Eraser double featured on Blu-ray. Collateral Damage is a pretty decent movie, directed by the guy who did The Fugitive, I believe, and some of the cool Steven Seagal movies. Andrew Davis. Yeah, definitely a cool movie. I enjoy that one. His family gets murdered and by a terrorism act, and he goes after the guys in their native land. Pretty cool stuff. Eraser, pretty shitty movie. I can never get through this movie. Every time I've tried to watch it, I just can't get through it. It's just an action movie about this guy who helps erase your identity. Definitely one of the least favorite Schwarzenegger movies that I own. Here's a great Schwarzenegger movie. Well, not great, but it's damn good. Like, I watched it back in the day when it originally came out back in 1999, and I picked it up on Blu-ray. I think it was like $2.50 half price sale. Originally $5, and I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it this time around. And it was just entertaining. Had some cool religious aspects. The guy who plays the devil is who is it? Gabriel Byron, I believe is his name, and he's really cool in movies like the Unusual Suspects and Miller Crossing. Really cool action movie. Don't expect like amazing plot or anything, but pretty decent special effects for the time and some good action scenes. The Last Stand, I'm pretty sure I've shown you that. Pretty cool recent Schwarzenegger movie. Here's another good Schwarzenegger Stallone movie from recently called Escape Plan. Pretty cool, interesting, cool movie about this guy who breaks out of prisons as a profession. He ends up, through the plot, getting stuck in one of the craziest prisons I've ever seen. It's pretty cool, it's futuristic, and it's all about breaking out. It's nothing really more than you need to know than that. Other than Vincent D'Onofrio's in this movie for some reason. I'm sure he could have been spending his time doing really good stuff, but it's a decent action flick. 50 Cent, Bullet Tooth Tony. Check it out if you like Schwarzenegger or Stallone. I enjoyed this movie. I was quite surprised that I actually ended up liking it. Let's move on down. I'm pretty sure I've showed you everything on this and prior ones. Here we go. Mad Max. Awesome collection. Collector's edition. Scream Factory, I think, is the company. I know they make a lot of cool releases. This is one of them. If you just bear with me here. It's really got a cool interior art as well. I guess it's like the original artwork. And yeah, really cool stuff. Mad Max. And this movie is really great. I really got into the Mad Max, like getting all. I've always been a fan of Road Warrior, but I really haven't gotten into I hadn't even seen the original Mad Max, but I picked it up. I enjoyed it. I liked all the characters. Long, what is his name? Long Toe or something like that. He was a pretty cool bad guy. And yeah, it's the first entry into the Mad Max series. It's not really the wasteland per se. It's kind of leading up to that, and it's got full-on action scenes. Some pretty decent acting from a young Mel Gibson, and yeah, it's good times. It's a really cool addition to have. I've seen other re-releases that, I don't know, they just didn't really do it for me. And just to kind of show you, here's the Road Warrior, the best in the series. Even the new one really doesn't hold a candle to how awesome the original Road Warrior is, or how awesome Mel Gibson is as Max. Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, just got this recently. I was kind of hesitant about picking it up on Blu-ray. I was thinking maybe just forget about it. But I did pick it up for $8, I think I paid, in the Walmart bin. Tina Turner as the leader of Bartertown. And you know what? This time around, I kind of enjoyed it. Maybe I was just in the mood for Mad Max, I'm not sure. But he ends up in this Bartertown. He's trying to win this like engine for his car in a big battle of Thunderdome, fighting, what is his name, Maximus? I can't even remember. Like this big badass motherfucker, Master Blaster. That's it. Is this big huge guy, kind of like Rictus Erectus, but he has a little midget dude on his back who kind of like, he's the brain. And the other guy's the bronze. It's pretty cool, and then he ends up leading this lost tribe of kids, and they have like this whole, like, pretty much a religion, and like they're waiting for their long lost leader to come back. It's pretty interesting. I enjoyed this. I think I've seen it 3 times total, and I enjoyed it this time quite a bit. It's nothing amazing. It's definitely nowhere near as good as Road Warrior or Mad Max, but it's still good. It's got the character, and it's got some cool action in it. But this movie here, awesome. Mad Max Fury Road, starring Tom Hardy as Max this time around. Charlize Theron does a really good job as her character, Furiosa, and it's just a really cool, not even a reimagining, it's just kind of continuing the story of Mad Max, and it's really great. I don't really want to get too much into the story per se, because it's kind of, like, you really need to pay attention. The first time I watched it, I was kind of like, well, the action was really badass, but I don't really understand the story too much. But I watched it, like, I've watched this 4 times since picking it up on Blu-ray, and I gotta say, I really do enjoy the story now. It kind of really blends in perfectly with the whole series, and yeah, I don't really want to talk too much about the story in case you haven't seen it, but let's just say the whole movie is kind of like a big chase scene, then halfway there's a little bit of an intermission, kind of get a little bit of dialogue here and there, and then the rest of the movie is the race back to where they're heading, and it's just fucking awesome. It's like a giant kick-ass fight movie with some really cool practical stunts, and Tom Hardy does a really good serviceable job as Mad Max. He's definitely not as good as Mel Gibson, but he does a really good job, and quite honestly, I don't think anybody else, male lead, could really do as good a job as he did, taking over Mel Gibson's classic character. But this movie is primarily about Furiosa. Mad Max just kind of in it. And, yeah, definitely check this movie out if you like action. Has some of the most amazing stunt work you've ever seen. And if you're kind of annoyed with all the CG sort of shit that goes on nowadays, this is your movie. Check it out. It's fantastic. And this is a really cool exclusive edition that comes with a really cool, like, what is it called? A graphic novel, a miniature graphic novel. It's got about 3 comics in it. 64 page comic, and I got this day one as soon as it came out. It's fantastic. I highly recommend that movie, even if you haven't seen the rest of the Mad Max series. You don't need to, really. It might actually work better for you, but the Road Warrior, definitely at least watch the Road Warrior and watch Mad Max Fury Road. Mad Max and Beyond Thunderdome are just kind of like, they're awesome, but you know, you don't really need to see them if you don't really care that much. I think that's it for this shelf. Oh, I picked this up recently. Sorry it's so dark down here. The Godfather Coppola restoration. I bought this off a Facebook trading post site. was pretty happy. Unfortunately, it's only on DVD, but I only paid like $5 for this, which is awesome. And yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about the restoration, the Coppola restoration. Godfather 1 and 2 are fantastic movies. Godfather 3, not so much, but it's still okay. It's not something you want to watch. Even like, I've watched Godfather, the series, a couple times, and number 3 I kind of skip every once in a while, but I have watched it, I think, twice at least. But I've watched Godfather 1 and 2 multiple more times than that, and they're just fantastic films. I would have to say I like Godfather 2 just slightly better than Godfather, but it's so close that I enjoy them both a lot. And yeah, I originally owned the original DVD release of Godfather, and to get the Coppola restoration for $5, unfortunately on DVD, I couldn't pass it up. They would probably look amazing on Blu-ray, but what can you say? Like I said, sometimes you kind of just take what you can get, sort of deal. I imagine the Blu-ray is a little bit more pricey. Another thing I picked up, as you can see, I own Fear and Loathing, the Criterion Collection, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Really cool Hunter S. Thompson based movie. I own it on DVD, and I was able to come across the Blu-ray. They have released it pretty much identical to this Criterion release on Blu-ray, but I figured it's kind of cool to have the alternative art and the transfer. So I'm really happy to get this, and I'm definitely going to throw it in one of these days and give it another watch in high def. Love this movie so much. If you haven't seen it, you should probably give it a go. And I think it's kind of... Hunter S. Thompson's kind of labeled as this like cartoonish, drug-addled character, but he was a whole lot more than that. He had a lot of commentary to say. I own all his books. I love all of them. I've read, well, not every single one, but I've read all of them, and I've enjoyed every one of them. Loved a lot of them, and he was a hell of a lot more than just some drug addict. He had a lot of cool commentary to say on the times, and he was really funny. And Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas is one of the best books ever written, and it's a fantastic movie, interpreted well, directed by Terry Gilliam, and Johnny Depp does an amazing job. So does Benicio del Toro, and the rest of the cast is really well done too. I believe that is it for this chunk of shelf here, I'm pretty sure. Let's move up. I don't think there's much up here, really. Possibly. I think I've showed you Enemy of the State. Really cool Will Smith. Gene Hackman movie. Oh, I got Band of Brothers recently. Here, let me move Batman and Joker here. Speaking of that, I am watching The Dark Knight at the moment. I just took a break to make this video. The Band of Brothers here on DVD. I just kind of wanted to see this. I was on a kick of watching World War II documentaries, and my boss was like, I have it. And I was like, okay, cool, can I borrow it? He said, sure. And when I was done with it, he said, you want that? I haven't watched it really at all, and it's just been sitting on my shelf. And I've seen other versions of this without the tin case, so I was like, sure, I'll take it. For free, awesome. And he also gave me another movie, which you will see later. Band of Brothers, an amazing World War II, pretty much a reenactment, but it is a miniseries from HBO. There's a sequel called The Pacific, which is also equally as amazing, as awesome. And I heard they're coming out with another one called Masters of the Air, so I'm looking forward to seeing that. And if you like Saving Private Ryan, and you like World War movies, or war movies at all, definitely check this out. 10 parts, about each part's about an hour. Some are a little bit more than that. Some are a little under that from what I remember. Fan-fucking-tastic. And same with The Pacific. Check them out. Apocalypse Now, the original and the Redux on one Blu-ray. I'm pretty sure I haven't showed you this. Francis Ford Coppola went through hell to make this movie. It's fantastic. The transfer looks brilliant. Definitely check it out. Pretty sure I've shown you all these movies. Like I said, if I miss some, I'm sorry, but whatever. It's not a huge deal. The Zodiac is a really cool David Fincher movie about the Zodiac killer, and starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Robert Downey Jr., and Mark Ruffalo, along with another more pretty cool cast overall. And yeah, it's a really good movie. It's quite It's long, but it doesn't feel that way, which is always a bonus when that happens. And yeah, if you like serial killer movies, check it out. But it's just overall a great story, a great movie, and professionally told. Like the end, like the last hour just kind of flies by. It's fantastic. Um, Pretty sure I've showed you The Social Network. Catch Me If You Can. Here's a really cool Jack Nicholson early performance movie about this dude who's kind of lost up in his life. He's like well off, but he's taking all these kind of jobs that, you know, he's like well off money wise. He's very intelligent, but he's doing all these jobs and living with these people that, you know, he could probably do better for himself, and he's just not. But I believe he has to go back to his father's deathbed, and he ends up kind of reevaluating himself after he meets this girl. Really fantastic drama. Jack Nicholson really does an amazing job. I think this won an Oscar when it came out. At least and it garnered a nomination for 1970's Academy Award. It's a really good movie. If you like Jack Nicholson, check it out. Here's another movie my aunt gave me, a Coen Brothers movie about this crazy this musician who's just trying to, you know, go about his life and catch a break here and there, catch his cat while he's at it. Oscar Isaac does a fantastic job, and yeah, John Goodman, Carey Mulligan, Justin Timberlake's in this movie. I'm not actually sure who this Garrett Hedlund guy is off the top of my head. If you like Coen Brother movies, you're pretty much aware that they can't really do any wrong. Well, maybe from time to time they make a stinker, but it's very rare. I can't even think of one off the top of my head. 1 Hour Photo, really cool creepy movie from Robin Williams. He plays this photographer that kind of like stalks people who he's not even a photographer, sorry. He develops photo at a store, like a Walmart sort of store, and he kind of like, he's a lonely dude, and he kind of ends up stalking people and fantasizing about being a part of their lives, and things get a little carried away. And Robin Williams does an amazing job doing this performance. You really wouldn't expect this from him. It's not funny. It's just fantastic. Skipping House D, Man of the Year. Another cool movie about this comedian guy who becomes a president, like the president through an error and a glitch in a system, and it's just kind of interesting nowadays with like Donald Trump running for president. It's like anybody who sounds different, people pay attention to, which is one of the main themes in this movie. So yeah, it's a really cool movie. It's actually very funny. Robin Williams actually really does a good job being funny and a dramatic role at the same time. Directed by Barry Levinstein, Levinston. He's a really good director. From all types of different genres. Comedy seems to be his main bag, though. Jeff Goldblum, Louis Black, Christopher Walken's really good in this movie, and Laura Linney does a fantastic job. If you like political satire, it's a great movie. If you like Robin Williams, great movie. And honestly, it kind of has a little bit more relevance now than it did when it came out, from what I remember. Because I actually went to see that in the theater. One of the rare... Like, I usually go to the theater for big movies, and then I just kind of catch everything else at home. But once in a while, I'll go to the theater. I'm pretty sure that's it on this. I might be missing a few, like I said, but whatever. It's not a big deal. I think... Oh, yeah. I picked up Green Mile on Blu-ray recently. Fantastic movie. Everyone knows The Green Mile's great. Directed by Frank Darabont, the guy who did Shawshank Redemption. He also did The Mist. And this is just a fantastic film, fantastic story, and the books are fantastic. I love Stephen King. As you may have seen in my book collection of Stephen King, I have a lot of his books, and I have been trying to get all his movies on DVD and Blu-ray, and The Green Mile is fantastic. And the one big lesson to take away from this movie: if you ever own a mouse, name it Mr. Jingles. Yeah, let's move along. Here's another really interesting movie. It's like a zombie sort of apocalypse movie, but it's much more than that. It's about this father and a daughter who ends up being infected, and their like struggle to kind of deal with what's going on. It's also a very cool spin on the zombie. Like, it's kind of original in a way. I would definitely, if you're a fan of Arnold Schwarzenegger, if you like the whole zombie apocalypse sort of deal, check this movie out, and I think it might surprise you. It's not what it seems. I picked this up when it first came out, and I was happy with it a lot. Although, I kind of got a little annoyed with his character, like in the last 15 minutes of the movie. I'm like, alright already. But if you like this sort of deal, check this movie out. Schwarzenegger really surprised me with his acting in this movie. Yeah, let's move along. And I think you've seen most of the movies here. Oh, I reacquired. I upgraded my Shogun Assassin. Was so happy to come across this for fucking $5. I don't know who the hell would ever sell this movie, but it worked for me. I got it at a pawn shop. It's mint condition. Shogun Assassin. I love this movie so much. If you like kung fu and samurai sort of movies, check this movie out. Even if you're just a fan of Quentin Tarantino, this is one of his favorite movies. And that's for a reason, because it kicks fucking ass. The blood, the action, the story, all of it's good. And I'm so happy to own that. It also comes with a cool introduction, I believe, by Samuel L. Jackson. Moving along here, I don't think there's anything much new on this shelf. Oh, this is new actually. Close Encounters of the Third Kind here. This awesome big box special edition Blu-ray. It has every version of the movie ever. And I had never really even seen this movie. I'm kind of ashamed to admit, up until I picked it up on VHS kind of on a whim, threw it in. I fucking loved it. And I was like, if I ever see that movie on Blu-ray, I gotta pick it up. And like a week later, I found this amazing edition, and I only paid $9 for it. Like I said, it comes with every edition. There's even a cool little like pamphlet inside that shows you the differences between them. And Steven Spielberg, really cool alien movie. If you like that sort of thing, this is definitely a must-see. Moving along. I picked up Jaws, another Spielberg movie. Oh, sorry, that's a whole different shark movie. Jaws, fantastic film here, directed by Steven Spielberg again. I think it's one of his earliest movies, and he really does a good job. I wish I could remember the monologue from this guy here. He's awesome. But yeah, this movie is really great, and it holds up well. Some of it's cheesy, but for the most part, there's not really anything. It's pretty much perfect. I loved every part of it. Avatar, another movie. This movie I got when I bought that Godfather Coppola restoration from this dude. He was selling movies pretty cheap, and this is the extended cut of Avatar, so I upgraded my version, which was not just the theatrical edition. And yeah, it's a really cool thing. If I was to take it out of the slit, which I probably couldn't do with one hand, it's like a digibook, and it's got like 3 discs, and fantastic. You gotta love Avatar. Even if you'd think the story's simple, it's still a great movie. James Cameron rarely makes shitty movies, and that's a really great addition. Main difference in this from the original version of the movie is like the whole beginning. You get to see a really cool futuristic Earth, and yeah, it's really well done. There are some extended scenes and whatnot. We're coming to the end of... I'm going to do 2 parts of this, because the second part will be all the Disney movies I've picked up recently. And if you know my videos, you know that I've been collecting VHS Disney, so I've also been collecting Blu-ray and DVDs of Disney. This movie here, fantastic. It's kind of like an underrated movie. Like, it came out, and I don't think a lot of people would probably just think it's, you know, some of the junk you see on the new shelf every week on Tuesdays. But this movie here is really cool. It's about these kids who go to a cabin to kind of chill out and hang out for the weekend, and they end up witnessing a fucking crashed UFO. And, you know, it kind of seems all cliche, but then this movie just does not pull any punches. The aliens you get to see right away. It's all full on. It's kind of a horror movie mixed with sci-fi. I would say it's more horror than sci-fi, but it's fucking fantastic. I love the aliens. I love the like how it, like I said, it never pulls a punch. When you think it's gonna go somewhere, in other Alien movies, you're like, oh, they're probably not gonna show you that, or whatever. It's probably not gonna happen. This movie makes it happen. It's underrated. I don't know how many people have seen it, but I love the shit out of this movie. Sure, it's not got the best acting in the world, but it's serviceable, and it's mostly about the aliens and how they are. And check it out if you like horror or sci-fi. I'm a big alien enthusiast. I don't know if I'd love to meet one up close in person, but I've always liked movies about them. I'm pretty sure that's it for this part, other than maybe We're Back, a dinosaur movie story. Sorry, another cool Spielberg Don Bluth production, I believe. So yeah, that's part 1 of my DVD Blu-ray update part 4. So we'll come back with part 2, and I'll give you a little glimpse of the Disney collection I have so far. So yeah, I'll see you then.